Thank you, everyone. I am Senate Democratic Leader Priya Sundareshan. I represent LD18 right here in Tucson. And first I want to say thank you. Thank you to the folks who come out here regularly to come and protest and make sure that people understand what exactly it is that this bill is doing. Because as we heard, this is the most dangerous bill that passed, and we cannot afford to let anyone forget that. So what you are doing by standing here, by protesting, raising awareness, by talking to your friends and your coworkers and your families and letting them know that they passed this bill 2 months ago and they were working on it for a couple of months, but its impacts are only just starting. And we need to let them know that this is the bill that is behind all of the costs that are increasing, all of the health insurance that people are no longer going to have, the Social Security that's going to be harder to access, the cuts to our federal agencies that make it harder to receive all of the needed services. So thank you for continuing to send that message, because they pushed this through early on in Donald Trump's presidency so that people would forget. So that they would forget what happened, and they would forget who voted for it. Who voted for it?
Ciscomani!
Our representative, Ciscomani, voted for this horrible bill. And they're gonna lie about it too. They voted for this bill, and Representative Ciscomani told us, he wrote some very lovely letters saying that he would protect Medicaid, that he would not support a bill that would make these cuts. Yeah, he's a liar. He lied. He then voted for it. He's supporting President Trump 100% of the way, especially with this horrible bill that will continue to have these impacts on us. And what we've recently heard, I just saw this, Republicans are going to start talking about this bill and trying to rebrand it. And they're going to try to pretend that this is something that supports working families when it doesn't. It doesn't. What we know about it is the whole purpose of this bill was to make tax cuts for the billionaires and the wealthiest continue on, and in order to do that, they took away everything else that people rely on. They're making us pay taxes. They're making working families are going to be paying taxes that the billionaires and the wealthiest will not be paying, because that's the whole point of this bill. So when they try to pretend that this is going to help working families in any way, or when they start talking about how it reduced taxes on people, they are purposely averaging that out, because we know who got the lower taxes. It was the wealthy, it was the billionaires, and it was not regular working class people. And there's one more thing. Thank you. There's one more thing I want to mention, because we've talked about what the cuts are going to do to SNAP benefits, to Medicaid, to Social Security, all of these fundamental things that people rely on. That's what our taxes should go towards, and they're going to cut it. And you know what else? There's climate impacts. And here, those of us who live in Tucson know what extreme heat is, and we've seen it get worse over the years. Many of us have lived here for many years. I was born here, so I remember growing up and seeing a lovely monsoon every so often. But what we're already seeing now is climate impacts making our summers hotter and longer and drier. And we're seeing that take place already because of the failure of investment in climate technologies. Well, you know what? President Biden and the Inflation Reduction Act had put investments into those technologies. But this bill, this horrible bill, has taken away some of those tax credits. So what we're seeing is the climate impacts and longer summers, and we're also seeing hotter, drier summers, and we're also seeing higher electricity rates. Our utilities are raising the rates on us at a time when we can't afford that. We need to be having the support from the federal government to help us make those investments in solar and other technologies that are going to help us reduce our electricity bills and move us towards a more climate-friendly future. But this bill got rid of that. So not only are we seeing the impacts of this that are going to take place on the healthcare side of it, we're also going to see it on the ability for us to be able to live in a climate that is in any way supportive of human life. So, Representative Ciscomani, you need to think hard about what you did, because you voted for this horrible bill and you betrayed your constituents when you did so. Thanks so much.